Hello, I'm Mike Myrons, and I'm here to take you to our virtual carols from St Bride's. You don't need me to tell you what a difficult year this has been, with hundreds of thousands losing loved ones or suffering from COVID-19 themselves, millions impacted economically, and all of us dealing with periods of isolation. And it's a tough time for charities too. When people need our help, income is down as shops have closed, investment returns have fallen, and events have had to be cancelled. At around this time of year, we'd often be coming here to Fleet Street for the annual carol service from St Bride's, which has been the start of my Christmas for about the last 30 years. Sometimes I'd meet friends here at the Old Bell Tavern for a small glass of mulled wine to make sure we're in the mood. Sadly this year, neither the mulled wine nor the carols have been possible because of the need to keep people safe. But thanks to the support of our industry partners and the flexibility of St Bride's, we've put together this virtual Carols from St Bride's so our Christmas isn't cancelled altogether. It won't be the same as having everyone here, but we hope you've captured something of the spirit. If you'd like to support the work we do, you can go online or text donate using the instructions at the bottom of the screen, or you can visit our website at newstrade.org.uk. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy our programme and that it helps get your Christmas started too.
A very warm welcome to St Bride's here in Fleet Street. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for us to host the Old Ben Christmas Carol service for NewstrAid. And even though we're unable to hold that service in church this year, we're delighted to be able to keep that important tradition alive by offering it to you online. In fact, we hope that we may be able to reach even more of you by doing so. This year has been unbelievably tough for everyone, including those who are struggling to work in challenging conditions and those whose jobs and financial security are at risk. So the support provided by organisations such as NewstrAid has never been more critically important. The association between St Bride's and NewstrAid has deep historic roots, and the fact that we've been able to work together to produce this service is a symbol of how important such acts of mutual support and encouragement have been and continue to be during these difficult months. Christmas is a time when we express our confidence that however deep the darkness may seem, new light will dawn. So may the light and hope of the Christ child be with you all this season and throughout the coming year.
This is a reading from the Holy Bible, Matthew chapter 1, the birth of Jesus, the Messiah. Now the birth of Jesus Christ took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child of the Holy Spirit, and her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, resolved to divorce her quietly. But as he considered this, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary, your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. He said, Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and his name shall be called Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph woke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but knew her not until she had borne a son, and he called his name Jesus. Thanks be to God.
Christ, our Savior, was born on this day. me a couple of weeks ago to ask me if I would do a reading for you, I said, of course, yes, I would. And I started having a look at some of the poems that I might choose from. I picked the one that I'm about to read, and I rang Mike back to let him know, and he said, hey Sharon, do you know that Duncan Shearer chose that poem last year? And I thought, you know what, it doesn't matter, because when you hear it, it is so unbelievably apt for this year that I thought you'd like to hear it again. The poem I've chosen is In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson, and he wrote this in the 1800s. But when you hear it, he could have written it in 2020. So here goes. Ring out wild bells to the wild sky, the flying clouds, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells and let him die. Ring out the old, ring in the new, ring happy bells across the snow. The year is going, let him go. Ring out the false, ring in the true. Ring out the grief that saps the mind. For those that here we see no more. Ring out the feud of rich and poor. Ring in redress to all mankind. Ring out a slowly dying cause and ancient forms of party strife. Ring in the nobler modes of life with sweeter manners and purer laws. Ring out false pride in place and blood, the civic slander and the spite. Ring in the love of truth and right. Ring in the common good of love. Ring out old shapes of foul disease. Ring out the narrowing lust of gold. Ring out the 1,000 wars of old, and ring in the 1,000 years of peace. Ring in the valiant man and free, the larger heart, the kinder hand. Ring out the darkness of the land. Ring in the Christ that is to be.
Hello, my name is Milan Silvestre and I'm the publishing director at The Guardian. My reading today is going to be an extract of a beautiful poem by the African-American poet Maya Angelou. It's called Amazing Peace, a Christmas Poem, and it felt totally apt for our times. Into this climate of fear and apprehension, Christmas enters, streaming lights of joy, ringing bells of hope, and singing carols of forgiveness high up in the bright air. The world is encouraged to come away from rancor, come the way of friendship. It is the glad season. Thunder ebbs to silence, and lightning sleeps quietly in the corner. Flood waters recede into memory. Snow becomes a yielding cushion to aid us as we make our way to higher ground. Hope is born again in the faces of children. It rises on the shoulders of our age as they walk into their sunsets. Hope spreads around the earth, brightening all things, even hate, which crouches breeding in dark corridors. We clap hands and welcome the peace of Christmas. We beckon this good season to wait a while with us. We, Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, say, "Come, peace. Come and fill us and our world with your majesty." We, the Jew and the Jainist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you to stay a while with us, so we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. It is Christmas time, a halting of hate time. On this platform of peace, we can create a language to translate ourselves to ourselves and to each other. We, angels and mortals, believers and non-believers, look heavenward and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at our world and speak the word aloud. Peace. We look at each other, then into ourselves, and we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, "Peace, my brother. Peace, my sister. Peace, my soul."
there. I've chosen a reading tonight from Charles Dickens, who couldn't be more appropriate for this charity because he was actually president of the charity from 1853 to 1870 and was, of course, as well as being a brilliant author, a brilliant journalist. And actually, it's a lot of his journalistic pieces that he then turned into novels. And he loved Christmas and he wrote about Christmas frequently. And I've chosen a piece where the young Ebenezer Scrooge and his fellow employees are treated perfectly by their employer, a Mr. Fezziwig. This is the moment where the ghost has come to visit the old Scrooge and he's taken him back to see what was a perfect Christmas Eve with Mr. Fezziwig. Fezziwig gets the young apprentices, including Ebenezer Scrooge, to clear away everything in his business and turn it into a ballroom. In came a fiddler with a music book and went up to the lofty desk and made an orchestra of it and tuned like 50 stomachaches. In came Mrs. Fezziwig, one vast substantial smile. In came 3 Miss Fezziwigs, beaming and lovable. In came the 6 young followers whose hearts they broke. In came all the young men and women employed in the business. In came the housemaid with her cousin, the baker. In came the cook with her brother's particular friend, the milkman. In came the boy from over the way, who was suspected of not having board enough from his master, trying to hide himself behind the girl from next door but one, who was proved to have her ears pulled by her mistress. In they all came, one after another, some shyly, some boldly, some gracefully, some awkwardly, some pushing, some pulling. In they all came, anyhow and everyhow, and away they all went, 20 couples at once, hands half round and back again the other way, down the middle and up again, round and round in various stages of affectionate grouping. Old top couple always turning up in the wrong place, new top couple starting off again as soon as they got there, all top couples at last, and not a bottom one to help them. And when this result was brought about, old Fezziwig, clapping his hands to stop the dance, cried out, "Well done!" And the fiddler plunged his hot face into a pot of porter, especially provided for that purpose. But scorning rest, upon his reappearance, he instantly began again, though there were no dancers yet, as if the other fiddler had been carried home, exhausted on a shutter, and he were a brand new man, resolved to beat him out of sight or perish. There were more dances, and there were forfeits, and more dances, and there was cake, and there was negus, and there was a great piece of cold roast, and there was a great piece of cold boiled, and there were mince pies and plenty of beer. But the great effect of the evening came after the roast and boiled, when the fiddler, the sort of man who knew his business better than you or I could have told him, struck up Sir Roger de Coverley. Then old Mr. Fezziwig stood out to dance with Mrs. Fezziwig. Top couple too, with a good stiff piece of work cut out for them. 3 or 4, 20 pair of dancers, people who were not to be trifled with, people who would dance and had no notion of walking. But if there had been twice as many, 4 times as many, old Fezziwig would have been a match for them, and so would Mrs. Fezziwig. As to her, she was worthy of her partner in every sense of the word. And if that's not high praise, tell me higher and I'll use it. A positive light appeared to issue from Fezziwig's calves. They shone in every part of the dance like moons. You couldn't have predicted at any given time what would become of them next. And when old Fezziwig and Mrs. Fezziwig had gone through all the dance, advance and retire, both hands to your partner, bow and curtsy, corkscrew, thread the needle, back again to your place, Fezziwig cut, oh, so deftly he appeared to wink with his legs and came on his feet again without a stagger. And when the clock struck 11, this domestic ball broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took their stations, one on either side of the door, and shaking hands with every person individually as he or she went out, wished him or her a Merry Christmas.
So that was the first ever virtual NewstrAid Carols from St Bride's. I hope you enjoyed it. After the carol service, we usually come here to Bridewell Hall for a glass of wine, a mince pie and a chat. But you'll have to pour yourselves a glass in the comfort of your own homes. It only remains for me to say a big thank you to the Reverend Canon Dr. Alison Joyce, James Irving and everyone at St Bride's, especially their fantastic choir. Thanks to our readers, Alex, Sharon, Mylene and of course Ian Hislop. And a big thank you to our industry partners. Each of these companies has found a way to support us, despite the fact that this is a really difficult year for all media businesses. We're very grateful. Finally, once again, if you would like to support the work we do, you can give online or text donate using the instructions at the bottom of the screen, or visit our website at newstraid.org.uk. Thank you, stay safe, and Merry Christmas from all of us at NewstrAid.